Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the 24-hour survival phrases PDF cheat sheet. Do you know enough of the language to survive for 24 hours? If not, then this survival phrases cheat sheet will help you get by. Second, the How Are You and How to Answer It writing workbook. With this printable PDF, you'll learn all the ways to ask and answer the question, How are you? And you'll be able to practice writing the phrases out as well. Download it for free right now. Third, 30 music words for beginners. Learn how to say song, lyrics, melody, and much more with this quick 1-minute lesson. Fourth, can you talk about roads in your target language? Learn how to say road, highway, crosswalk, and much more with this quick vocab bonus. Fifth, must know Father's Day vocabulary. Can you say Father's Day in your target language? You'll be able to with this quick 1-minute vocabulary lesson. Sixth, free language learning audiobooks. Want free access to our huge library of beginner-level audiobooks? Then click the link below. Save the audiobooks to your device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 31% off all Premium or Premium Plus plans with the Pretty Big Deal sale. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire.
This is Karen Morris, and she's at City Hall, registering her address. The civil servant who is helping her says, "What's your email address?"
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요? 제 이메일 주소는 karen@inoreng.com이에요.
Once more with the English translation.
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
What's your email address?
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inoreng.com이에요.
My email address is karen@inolang.com.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how the civil servant says, "What's your email address?"
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
First is
이메일 주소,
meaning email address.
이메일 주소,
This starts with
이메일,
email.
이메일, 이메일,
Next is
주소,
address.
주소, 주소,
Together it's
이메일 주소,
email address.
이메일 주소,
Remember this phrase because you'll see it again in Karen's response. Next is
가,
the subject marking particle.
가, 가,
Note,
가,
follows words that end in a vowel, as in,
이메일 주소,
in this sentence,
가,
marks
이메일 주소,
or email address as the subject of the sentence. Think of it as marking the thing, email address, being talked about. Last is the phrase,
어떻게 되세요?
an honorific phrase meaning, what is it?
어떻게 되세요? 어떻게 되세요?
Is an honorific way to say,
뭐예요?
meaning what is. At this point in your language learning journey, remember this as a set phrase.
어떻게 되세요?
Altogether, it's
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
This literally means, email address. What is? But it translates as, what's your email address?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
Note, the Korean word for your in your email address is understood from the context of the two-person conversation. Omitting understood information is common in Korean. Remember the clerk's request. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Karen says, my email address is karen@inolang.com?
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inolang.com이에요.
First is
제,
my.
제.
This is a shortened form of
저,
the humble word for I and
의,
meaning of. Together, it's
저의,
my.
저의,
This is shortened to.
제.
Next, do you remember the word email address?
이메일 주소,
Email address.
이메일 주소.
Together, it's
제 이메일 주소,
my email address.
제 이메일 주소.
Next is
는,
the topic marking particle.
는.
It marks my email address as the topic of the sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for my email address. Note,
는.
follows words that end in a vowel, as in.
이메일 주소,
Next is Karen's email address. KAREN @inolang.com.
KAREN @inolang.com.
First is Karen's name.
KAREN
Next is the @ In Korean, it's pronounced
골뱅이.
Next is the domain name in Korean.
이노랭.
And last is
.com.
meaning .com.
.com.
Altogether, Karen's email address is
KAREN @inolang.com.
Last is.
이에요.
In this case, it's like the is in my email address is.
이에요.
Altogether, it's
제 이메일 주소는 karen @inolang.com이에요.
This literally means, as for my email address, KAREN @inolang.com is. But it translates as, my email address is karen@inolang.com.
제 이메일 주소는 karen @inolang.com이에요.
The pattern is
제 이메일 주소는 email address 이에요.
my email address is email address.
제 이메일 주소는 email address 이에요.
To use this pattern, simply replace the email address placeholder with your email address. Imagine your email address is jihye@inolang.com.
jihye@inolang.com jihye@inolang.com
Say, my email address is jihye@inolang.com. Ready?
제 이메일 주소는 jihye@inolang.com이에요.
My email address is jihye@inolang.com.
제 이메일 주소는 jihye@inolang.com이에요.
When giving your email address in Korea, if the domain is well known, you don't need to spell it out. For example, international platforms like Gmail, Gmail, and popular Korean platforms like Naver need no further explanation. However, outside of well-known domain names, it will usually be necessary to spell it out. While many common domain extensions end in consonants .com, .org, .gov, there are domain extensions that end in vowels .edu, .io, .me. In this case, the sentence pattern would be as follows. Email address ending in vowel 예요 kj@inolang.io 예요. 예요 follows words that end in a vowel as in .io.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inolang.com이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 jihye@inolang.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 ben@inolang.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 sy@inolang.com이에요.
kj@inolang.com이에요. Did you notice how I omitted 제 이메일 주소는? kj@inolang.com이에요.
kj@inolang.com. When you give your email address in response to a request, you can omit the phrase,
제 이메일 주소는
meaning my email address, because the context is clear in a two-person conversation. The sentence pattern is,
email address 이에요.
it's email address.
email address 이에요.
You should be aware of this shortcut, but for this lesson, we'll use the full sentence pattern.
제 이메일 주소는 email address 이에요.
My email address is email address.
제 이메일 주소는 email address 이에요. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say .com? .com .com and how to say inolang.com? inoreng.com inoreng.com. Do you remember how to say @sign? 골뱅이 골뱅이 and how to spell Karen? K-A-R-E-N K-A-R-E-N. Do you remember how to say email address? 이메일 주소 이메일 주소 and how to say my email address? 제 이메일 주소 제 이메일 주소. Do you remember how to say as for my email address? 제 이메일 주소는 제 이메일 주소는. Do you remember how Karen says my email address is karen@inolang.com?
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inolang.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inolang.com이에요. Do you remember the polite phrase meaning what is it? 어떻게 되세요? 어떻게 되세요? Do you remember how the clerk says, "What's your email address?"
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
Let's practice. Imagine you're Ben Morris. And your email address is ben@inolang.com.
ben@inolang.com.
Respond to the civil servant's request. Ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
제 이메일 주소는 ben@inolang.com이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 이메일 주소는 ben@inolang.com이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 ben@inolang.com이에요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Sungyoung Shim. And your email address is
sy@inolang.com.
ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
제 이메일 주소는 sy@이노랭닷컴이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 이메일 주소는 sy@이노랭닷컴이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 sy@이노랭닷컴이에요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Cajun Kim, and your email address is
kj@이노랭닷컴.
ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
제 이메일 주소는 kj@이노랭닷컴이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 이메일 주소는 kj@이노랭닷컴이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 kj@이노랭닷컴이에요.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what are you good at? After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about what you're good at doing. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
무엇을 잘해요?
외국어를 잘해요.
Once more with the English translation.
무엇을 잘해요?
What are you good at?
외국어를 잘해요.
I'm good at languages. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what are you good at? That's,
무엇을 잘해요?
listen to it again.
무엇을 잘해요? 무엇을 잘해요?
This Korean sentence literally translates as, what good do? But it means, what are you good at? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is skill.
를 잘해요.
This Korean sentence literally translates as skill good at. But it means I'm good at skill. For example, I'm good at languages.
외국어를 잘해요. 외국어를 잘해요.
Here are a few more phrases you can use with the same pattern to talk about your skills. Languages.
외국어. 외국어.
Languages.
외국어.
Sales.
영업. 영업.
Sales.
영업.
Typing.
타이핑. 타이핑.
Typing.
타이핑.
Video editing.
영상 편집. 영상 편집.
Video editing.
영상 편집.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
무엇을 잘해요?
영업을 잘해요.
What are you good at?
무엇을 잘해요?
I'm good at sales.
영업을 잘해요.
무엇을 잘해요?
타이핑을 잘해요.
What are you good at?
무엇을 잘해요?
I'm good at typing.
타이핑을 잘해요.
무엇을 잘해요?
영상 편집을 잘해요.
What are you good at?
무엇을 잘해요?
I'm good at video editing.
영상 편집을 잘해요.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what are you good at?
무엇을 잘해요?
Imagine you're good at sales. Do you remember how to say sales?
영업, 영업,
Say, I'm good at sales.
영업을 잘해요.
Now, answer the question saying you're good at sales.
무엇을 잘해요?
영업을 잘해요.
Now, imagine you're good at typing. Do you remember how to say typing?
타이핑, 타이핑,
Say, I'm good at typing.
타이핑을 잘해요.
Now answer the question saying you're good at typing.
무엇을 잘해요?
타이핑을 잘해요.
Now imagine you're good at video editing. Do you remember how to say video editing?
영상 편집, 영상 편집,
Say, I'm good at video editing.
영상 편집을 잘해요.
Now answer the question saying you're good at video editing.
무엇을 잘해요?
영상 편집을 잘해요.
안녕하세요. Hello. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Hello. 안녕하세요. 잘 지냈어요? Hello, how have you been? 안녕하세요. 잘 지냈어요? 저기요. Excuse me. 저기요. 저기요. Excuse me. 저기요. 이거 얼마예요? Excuse me, how much is this? 저기요. 이거 얼마예요? 죄송합니다. I'm sorry. 죄송합니다. 죄송합니다. I'm sorry. 죄송합니다. 오타였어요. I'm sorry. It was a typo. 죄송합니다. 오타였어요. 안녕히 주무세요. Good night. 안녕히 주무세요. 안녕히 주무세요. Good night. 할머니, 안녕히 주무세요. Good night, Grandma. 할머니, 안녕히 주무세요. 만나서 반가워요. Nice to meet you. 만나서 반가워요. 만나서 반가워요. Nice to meet you. 들어오세요. 만나서 반가워요. Please come in. Nice to meet you. 들어오세요. 만나서 반가워요. 어떻게 지내세요? How are you? 어떻게 지내세요? 어떻게 지내세요? How are you? 오랜만이네요. 어떻게 지내세요? It's been a long time. How are you? 오랜만이네요. 어떻게 지내세요? 네. Yes. 네. 네. Yes. 네, 이거로 주세요. Yes, this one please. 네, 이거로 주세요. 아니요. No. 아니요. 아니요. No. 아니요, 아직 안 먹었어요. No, I haven't eaten yet. 아니요, 아직 안 먹었어요. 고마워요. Thank you. 고마워요. 고마워요. Thank you. 초대해줘서 고마워요. Thank you very much for the invitation. 초대해줘서 고마워요. 저는 소피입니다. I'm Sophie. 저는 소피입니다. 저는 소피입니다. I'm Sophie. 저는 존입니다. I'm John. 저는 존입니다. 안녕하세요. Hello. 저기요. Excuse me. 죄송합니다. I'm sorry. 안녕히 주무세요. Good night. 만나서 반가워요. Nice to meet you. 어떻게 지내세요? How are you? 네. Yes. 아니요. No. 고마워요. Thank you. 저는 소피입니다. I'm Sophie.
Hi everyone! Welcome to another Korean whiteboard lesson. My name is Keijin. 안녕하세요, Keijin입니다. In this lesson, you will learn how to talk about hobbies in Korean. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at the vocabulary. The first is 캠핑하다. 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 To camp. 독서하다 means to read. 독서하다. 독서하다, 독서하다, to read. 사진을 찍다, it means to take pictures. 사진을 찍다. Do you know this 을? 을 is object marking particle, and when we speak, we often omit this. That's why I put in this bracket. So 사진을 찍다, 사진을 찍다, or 사진 찍다, 사진 찍다. How about this? To travel. 여행하다, 여행하다, 여행하다. To travel. Next we have is 음악을 듣다. To listen to music. 음악을 듣다. 음악을 듣다. Again, I omitted this particle. 을, object marking particle, 을. Because again, we commonly omit 을, object marking particle, when we speak. So you can just say 음악 듣다, 음악 듣다. But the full pattern, full form is 음악을 듣다. The next we have is 테니스를 치다. 테니스를 치다. 테니스를 치다. It means to play tennis. 테니스를 치다. Again, you can omit 를 here, which is another object marking particle. 를. So you can just say 테니스 치다. 테니스 치다. 테니스 치다. I say object marking particle, but it's using 을 and 를. There are two kinds of object marking particles. Why? Do you see this? 사진, 사진, 사진을. 사진 end with consonant. So I'm using 을 here. 을. What if 음악, 음악 here. 음악, it also ends with consonant, so I'm using 을 as 음악을. How about this? 테니스, 테니스, It ended with vowel sound, so I'm using 를 here. So when the word ends with consonant, then you are using 을. What if it ends with vowel? Then you are using 를. So there are two kinds of object marking particle which can be omitted very commonly when we speak. The next we have is 등산하다. 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 It means to mountain climb or climb a mountain. Do you see a lot of 하다 in this verb, such as 캠핑하다, 독서하다, 여행하다, 등산하다? Yes, 하다 verb is very common. But when you omit 하다, it becomes noun. So camping, it means camping. It's from the English word, right? It's a long word. 독서, it means reading. Again, it's a noun. 여행, it means trip. 등산 means climbing. So it's also a noun. So noun plus 하다 verb usually very often becomes a verb. So please remember this. These are really important. Now let's look at the sentence pattern. As you probably noticed, this pattern was used in all expressions in today's lesson. So sentence pattern is verb stem 는 거예요. Verb stem 는 거예요. It means it's noun phrase. So these are just verb. So when you answer, it's noun. This is how we Korean people say. And there are several ways to make the noun phrase, noun form. For example, there is 기 or 미음 or And the other form is 는 거. 는 거. There are several forms, but among these, 는 거 is most commonly used, and that's why we chose this one. So let's see how you can conjugate this verb with 는 거 form. 는 거. So we only need to take the verb stem. What is the verb stem? Verb stem is very simple. For example, 캠핑하다, 캠핑하다. Did you hear the sound? It ended with 다 sound, right? 다. All Korean verb and adjective ends with 다. Just remove 다 and the left part. Without 다, the left part is the verb stem. For example, remove 다. 캠핑하 is the verb stem. So verb stem plus 는 거예요. So if you say it's camping is 캠핑하는 거예요. 캠핑하는 거예요. It means it's camping. Let's look at the dialogue. When I read, I want you to pay attention to the verb that you learned today. Find what the verb is and see how it's used in the dialogue. 취미가 뭐예요? 캠핑하는 거예요. Again. 취미가 뭐예요? 캠핑하는 거예요. 취미가 뭐예요? 캠핑하는 거예요. 취미가 뭐예요? It means what's your hobby? 취미 means hobby. 뭐예요 means what is. So hobby, what is? 취미가 뭐예요? And here the particle 가 is also used. Next, 캠핑하는 거 that we just learned here in the sentence pattern, right? 캠핑하는 거예요. 캠핑하는 거 is from 캠핑하다, the verb 캠핑하다, and then 는 거 makes camping to camp as camping, the noun form. 거예요 means it is. Let's look at more examples. 독서하는 거예요 is reading. 독서하는 거예요. 독서하는 거예요. This is from the verb 독서하다. 독서하다. We learned it today, right? It means to read. So 독서하다, remove 다 and just say 독서하 plus 는 거예요. 독서하는 거예요. It's reading. Next, 사진 찍는 거예요. Is taking pictures. 사진 찍는 거예요. 사진 찍는 거예요. We learned this expression, right? 사진을 찍다 or 사진 찍다. And just remove 다. So you only have 사진 찍, right? And just put 는 거예요. 사진 찍는 거예요. 사진 찍는 거예요. Next we have 여행하는 거예요. It means it's traveling. 여행하는 거예요. 여행하는 거예요. It's from the verb 여행하다. Remove 다, then you only have 여행하, right? Just put 는 거예요. 여행하는 거예요. 여행하는 거예요. Next we have 음악 듣는 거예요. 음악 듣는 거예요. 음악 듣는 거예요. It's listening to music. Again, it's from the phrase that we just learned. 음악을 듣다 or 음악 듣다. 음악 듣다. Remove 다 at the end. So you only have 음악 듣 and just put 는 거예요. 음악 듣는 거예요. 음악 듣는 거예요. Next we have 테니스 치는 거예요. As playing tennis. 테니스 치는 거예요. 테니스 치는 거예요. It's from the phrase that we learned. 테니스를 치다. 테니스를 치다. Or 테니스 치다. 테니스 치다. And remove 다 at the end. Then you only have 테니스 치. Right? 테니스 치. And put 는 거예요. 테니스 치는 거예요. 테니스 is from the English word, right? Tennis. And 치다, 치다, or 치는 is from the verb 치다, which means to hit. To hit. So it literally means you hit the tennis. In English, you use play for many different sports like soccer, tennis, badminton. But in Korean, we don't use this 치다 verb for all kinds of sports verb. Like soccer, no, we use 하다 verb. Badminton, it actually hit the ball like this. So we say 배드민턴을 치다. So you have to see which sport do you use this 치다 verb. So another example can be 탁구, meaning 핑퐁. So 탁구, 핑퐁. 탁구를 치다. Play 핑퐁. Next we have is 등산하는 거예요. 등산하는 거예요. 등산하는 거예요. Is climbing a mountain or is mountain climbing. 등산하는 거 is from the verb 등산하다. 등산하다. Remove 다 at the end that you only have 등산하. Just put 는 거예요 at the end. So 등산하는 거예요. That is mountain climbing. According to recent statistics, the most popular hobby in Korea is mountain climbing. 70% of Korean territory is covered with mountains, so if you like climbing, you will have a lot of fun in Korea. There are many mountains you can climb, even in Seoul, the biggest city in Korea. The second most popular hobby is listening to music, and the third is exercising. Do you remember how to say to camp? 캠핑하다. 캠핑하다. And how to say is camping? 캠핑하는 거예요. 캠핑하는 거예요. Do you remember how to say to read? 독서하다. 독서하다. And how to say to take pictures? 사진을 찍다. 사진을 찍다. Do you remember how to say to travel? 여행하다. 여행하다. And how to say to listen to music? 음악을 듣다. 음악을 듣다. Do you remember how to say to play tennis? 테니스를 치다. 테니스를 치다. And how to say to climb a mountain? 등산하다. 등산하다. Do you remember how to say to exercise? 운동하다. 운동하다. In this lesson, we've learned how to talk about hobbies in Korean. Thank you for watching the video. That's it for this lesson. I'm Kejin, and I'll see you on KoreanClass101.com. 다음 시간에 봐요. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin. 안녕하세요, Kejin입니다. Welcome to the whiteboard lessons. In this lesson, you will learn how to ask for clarification in Korean. So, what is clarification? When you don't understand what others say, you check with others to make sure you understand them correctly. This is asking for clarification, and today's expressions will be very useful for Korean language learners. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at the expressions. The first is 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. One more time. 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. Sorry, but please say it once again. 죄송하지만 sorry, but 한 번 means once. 더 means more. So it literally means once more. 말해주세요 is please say. So this person is asking very politely. How about this? 죄송하지만 천천히 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 천천히 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 천천히 말해주세요. It means sorry, but please say it slowly. 죄송하지만 sorry, but 천천히. 천천히. It means slowly. Again, 말해주세요. We just learned it. Please say. So, please say slowly. How about the third one? 죄송하지만 다시 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 다시 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 sorry but 다시 again 말해주세요. Please say it. 죄송하지만 다시 말해주세요. Sorry, but please say it again. Next is 죄송하지만 크게 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 크게 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 I'm sorry, but 크게 loudly 크게 말해주세요. 말해주세요. It means please say. So 죄송하지만 크게 말해주세요. Sorry, but please say it loudly. Next we have 죄송하지만 뭐라고 하셨죠? 죄송하지만 뭐라고 하셨죠? 죄송하지만 뭐라고 하셨죠? It means sorry, but what did you say? Next we have 죄송하지만 이거 어떻게 읽어요? 죄송하지만 이거 어떻게 읽어요? 죄송하지만 이거 어떻게 읽어요? 죄송하지만 it means sorry, but 이거 means this or this one. 어떻게 here 어떻게 means how and 읽어요 it means read. So it literally means sorry, but this one how read. So in English, sorry, but how can I read this? How do you read this? How do I read this? How do we read this? So it depends on the subject that you are referring to in the context. But yes, it means sorry, but how can I read this? So the person will read it again for you. The next we have is 죄송하지만 적어주세요. 죄송하지만 적어주세요. 죄송하지만 적어주세요. 죄송하지만 sorry but 적어주세요. It means please write. Please write. 적어주세요. Sorry, but please write it. 죄송하지만 적어주세요. The last line we have is 죄송하지만 잘 모르겠어요. 죄송하지만 잘 모르겠어요. 죄송하지만 잘 모르겠어요. 죄송하지만 it means sorry but 잘 literally means well. 모르겠어요 means do not know, do not understand. So it literally means sorry but I don't understand well. 죄송하지만 잘 모르겠어요. Let's look at the dialogue. When I read, I want you to pay attention to the expression you learned today. Find the expression and see how it's used in this dialogue. 안녕하세요. 저는 조도연이에요. 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. Did you get it? 안녕하세요. 저는 조도현이에요. 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. 안녕하세요. 저는 조도현이에요. Hello, I'm 도현조. I said 조도현, right? 조도현. It's the way we read in Korean, but in English you change the name order, right? You put the first name first and put family name later. In Korean, we put the family name first as 조도현. But let's change the order in English. I'm 도현조. 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. Sorry, but please say it once again. We just learned in this expression, right? So this is how we use in actual situation. Now let's look at the sentence pattern. As you probably noticed, this pattern was used in all the expressions introduced today. 죄송하지만 and phrase. You say what you want to say. 죄송하지만, it means sorry but. But there are other ways to say sorry but in Korean. For example, 죄송한데, 죄송한데. Or there are informal version too. 미안한데, 미안한데. Or 미안하지만, 미안하지만. So what are the differences here? First, 죄송하지만 is very polite and formal. It's using this 죄송하지만. 지만 is very formal and also used for written form too. Here's similar one. 죄송한데, 죄송한데. 죄송한데 is also very formal, but 한데 is pre-colloquial. So it's used in spoken form very commonly. So 하지만 used for written form and 한데 is used for spoken form. But I use 하지만 because 하지만 is written form, but at the same time it's very formal. So in the formal situation, lots of people say 하지만, 죄송하지만, this 지만 form. So we are using very polite formal form today. How about this? 미안한데. 미안한데 is from 미안하다, meaning to be sorry. It means exactly the same, but it's informal. And again, we are using 한데, which is spoken form or colloquial. So 미안한데 is you are using it to your friends or someone you are very close to. 미안한데, sorry, but. Now we have this 미안하지만. Since he's using 미안하다, which means sorry in informal way, it's still informal, but it's using 하지만. It can be written form, but definitely 미안한데 is much common because 미안하다 verb itself is informal. So 한데, which is spoken form, is much more commonly used between friends. So if you want to memorize it, please remember that 죄송하지만 is very formal and 죄송한데 is formal but colloquial. 미안한데 is informal and colloquial. 미안하지만 it can be informal and written form. But again, it can be used in daily life commonly. So please remember this sentence pattern and use it when you want to say sorry to other people. Do you remember how to say sorry but? 죄송하지만, 죄송하지만. And how to say please say once again? 한 번 더 말해주세요. 한 번 더 말해주세요. Do you remember how to say sorry, but please say once again? 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 한 번 더 말해주세요. And how to say sorry, but please say slowly? 죄송하지만 천천히 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 천천히 말해주세요. Do you remember how to say sorry, but please say it again? 죄송하지만 다시 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 다시 말해주세요. And how to say sorry, but please say it loudly? 죄송하지만 크게 말해주세요. 죄송하지만 크게 말해주세요. Do you remember how to say sorry, but what did you say? 죄송하지만 뭐라고 하셨죠? 죄송하지만 뭐라고 하셨죠? And how to say sorry, but how can I read this? 죄송하지만 이거 어떻게 읽어요? 죄송하지만 이거 어떻게 읽어요? Do you remember how to say sorry, but please write it? 죄송하지만 적어주세요. 죄송하지만 적어주세요. And how to say sorry, but I don't understand. 죄송하지만 잘 모르겠어요. 죄송하지만 잘 모르겠어요. In this lesson, you learned how to ask for clarification in Korean. Thanks for watching. I'm Keijin, and I'll see you on KoreanClass101.com. 다음 시간에 봐요. Hi everyone! Welcome to another Korean whiteboard lesson. My name is Keijin. 안녕하세요, 케이진입니다. In this lesson, you will learn how to discuss language abilities in Korean. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at the dialogue. 영어 할 줄 아세요? 영어 할 줄 알아요. Again. 영어 할 줄 아세요? 영어 할 줄 알아요. 영어 할 줄 아세요? Do you speak English? 영어 할 줄 알아요. I speak English. This word, 영어 is marked in red and it means English. English. So, English. 할 줄 아세요? 할 줄 아세요? is very polite way to say, do you speak? Let's break it down. 할 is from the verb 하다. 줄 아세요? 아세요 is from the verb 알다, meaning to know, to understand. So it literally means, do you know how to speak, how to do English? In natural English, it will be just, do you speak English? And here, 알다 verb become 아세요. It's a very honorific way to say to know or to understand. So you want to be very polite and ask them using this honorific. 영어 again, English. 할 줄 알아요. 할 is from the verb 하다. And then 줄 알아요. 알아요 is from the verb 알다. So yes, I speak English. Or yes, I know how to do English. So here, this is a question. Do you speak English? So you probably want to say yes or no, right? What is yes in Korean? Yes in Korean is 네. 네. It means yes. So if you want, you can put yes here. 네, 영어 할 줄 알아요. What if you don't know how to speak English? Then you probably say, no, I don't speak English, right? So let's start with no. No in Korean is 아니요. 아니요 means no. 할 줄 알아요 means I know how to do. What if it's not no? It's 몰라요. So you put 몰라요 here. 몰라요. So replace 알아요 with 몰라요. So no, I don't speak English is 아니요. 영어 할 줄 몰라요. That means no, I don't speak English. Now let's look at the sentence pattern. This pattern is the structure that all our dialogue and example sentences follow. Language name and 할 줄 알아요. Again, language name, 할 줄 알아요. I speak language. What if you know how to speak the language but not fluent yet? So you want to say, yes, I speak the language a little or a bit. What is a little? It's 조금. 조금 means a bit or slightly or a little. You put 조금 here. 조금. So for example, the language, let's use 영어 as an example. So if you say 영어 할 줄 알아요, it means I speak English. But if you say 영어 조금 할 줄 알아요. 영어 조금 할 줄 알아요. That means I speak a little bit of English. I speak English a little. So this sentence pattern will be used a lot, really commonly, especially when you are a language learner. So please remember it. Let's look at more examples. 한국어 할 줄 알아요. 한국어 할 줄 알아요. 한국어, it means Korean. So 한국어 할 줄 알아요. I speak Korean. 중국어 할 줄 알아요. 중국어 할 줄 알아요. I speak Chinese. 중국어 means Chinese. Next example we have is 스페인어 할 줄 알아요. 스페인어, 스페인어 할 줄 알아요. 스페인어, it means Spanish. 프랑스어 할 줄 알아요. 프랑스어 할 줄 알아요. 프랑스어 할 줄 알아요. It means I speak French. So using this sentence pattern, you can make lots of different sentences if you know the name of language, such as 한국어, Korean, 중국어, Chinese, 스페인어, Spanish, 프랑스어, French. Okay, so let's look at the vocabulary. First we have is 영어. We just learned it, right? 영어, English. And Korean too. 한국어, 한국어. Chinese, 중국어, 중국어. Spanish, 스페인어, 스페인어. French, 프랑스어, 프랑스어. Have you noticed something? 한국, 중국, Spain, France. These are all the name of countries. So if you put country name plus or, very often it becomes a language name, but not always. For example, 영어, 영, is 영 a name of country? No. So it's not applicable for every single languages in the world, but in many cases, You just put the name of the country and say which means a language, and that becomes the name of the language in Korean. Let's look at other example. How about this? 아랍어. 아랍어 is Arabic. Again, Arab is not exactly a name of country, so it's not using this pattern. Then how about this one? 일본어. 일본어. 일본어, Japanese. And 일본 is name of the country. Japan. Japan is 일본. And just put 일본어. It becomes Japanese language. Japan language. How about this? 독일어. 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 German. And 독일 is name of the country. It's Germany. 독일. 독일. Next we have is 힌두어. 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 힌두어 is Hindi. Hindi. But again, Hindu is not the name of the country. So this is not using this pattern. This one, 러시아어. 러시아어. 러시아어 is Russian. And Russia is name of the country. Russia. 러시아. Last, we have 베트남어. 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 It means Vietnamese. And the Korean pronunciation is not Vietnamese, but it's Vietnam, Vietnam, Vietnam. That's how Korean people pronounce this language and also country too. Vietnam. Vietnam is the name of the country. Vietnam. 베트남어. So 영어, 한국어, 중국어, 스페인어, 프랑스어, 아랍어, 일본어, 독일어, 힌두어, 러시아어, 베트남어. So please remember this vocabulary. It will be very useful. What are popular foreign languages that Koreans learn? The most popular language is, of course, English. Although not everyone is fluent in English in Korea, most young Koreans can speak basic English. The next most popular ones are Japanese and Chinese. The Japanese language is somewhat similar to the Korean language in terms of grammar and vocabulary, so many Koreans learn it. And as the Chinese market gets bigger and bigger, more and more Koreans learn the Chinese language too. The following most popular languages are German, Russian, French, and Spanish. Do you remember how to say English? 영어. 영어. And how to say I speak English? 영어 할 줄 알아요. 영어 할 줄 알아요. Do you remember how to say Korean? 한국어. 한국어. And how to say Chinese? 중국어. 중국어. Do you remember how to say Spanish? 스페인어. 스페인어. And how to say French? 프랑스어. 프랑스어. Do you remember how to say Arabic? 아랍어. 아랍어. And how to say Japanese? 일본어. 일본어. Do you remember how to say German? 독일어. 독일어. And do you remember how to say Hindi? 힌두어. 힌두어. Do you remember how to say Russian? 러시아어, 러시아어. And how to say Vietnamese? 베트남어, 베트남어. In this lesson, we've learned how to discuss language abilities in Korean. Thank you for watching. I'm Kejin, and I'll see you on KoreanClass101.com. 다음 시간에 봐요.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is your first steps to learning a language, the Fundamentals Welcome Pack. Is there a best way to learn a language? Many learners waste time trying to find the perfect resource, but never stick with anyone long enough to make progress because there's always a new, shinier app. But resources aside, is there a best way to learn a language? Well, there is. Keep watching this month's episode. You'll discover why you'll learn faster by starting with the fundamentals, the trunk-based knowledge approach to learning, how to get our free welcome pack, and much more. But first, if you're looking for new free language resources and downloads, here are this month's new lessons and resources. Be sure to download these now before we take them down in a few days. First, the 24-hour Survival Phrases PDF cheat sheet. Traveling and want to learn enough of the language to survive? Then these survival phrases will help you get by in the first 24 hours. Second, the How Are You and How to Answer It writing workbook. With this printable PDF, you'll learn all the ways to ask and answer the question, how are you? And you'll be able to practice your writing skills as well. Download it for free right now. Third, 30 music words for beginners. Learn how to say song, lyrics, melody, and much more with this quick 1-minute lesson. Fourth, can you talk about roads in your target language? Learn how to say road, highway, crosswalk, and much more with this quick vocab bonus. And fifth, must know Father's Day vocabulary. Can you say Father's Day in your target language? You'll be able to with this quick 1-minute vocabulary lesson. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. Your first steps to learning a language, the Fundamentals Welcome Pack. So, is there a best way to learn a language? You can download a shiny app and start learning words on day 1. But is that the right way to learn the language? Well, if you want to just know words, sure, that works. But if you want to learn a language from the ground up, understand how it works, be able to create your own sentences, and speak freely, you'll quickly realize that just learning words doesn't help you do that. What you need is not the next shiniest app, but to start with the fundamentals. Part 1. Why starting with the fundamentals is the best way to learn. What are the fundamentals of languages? Fundamentals are the alphabet, pronunciation, beginner-level grammar rules, and core words and phrases. And this, starting from the fundamentals, is also something called trunk-based knowledge. If you imagine a tree, it starts from the roots to the trunk and to the branches and then the leaves. And the leaves are the details, the words and phrases. And the roots and trunk are the foundation of it all. If you focus on the leaves or learning just the words and phrases, you may get to know some of the language and be able to say some things, but you'll struggle with coming up with your own sentences and speaking freely. And if you've learned like that for a bit, you'll soon realize you don't actually understand the language and need to backtrack and start over. But if you start with the roots and trunk, the fundamentals, you learn to read, the pronunciation, the grammar rules, then everything else you learn later on is built on top of these fundamentals and will make mastering the language easier than the other way around. For example, if you learn the alphabet, then writing, reading, and pronunciation become attainable. And with the proper pronunciation, you can start speaking. Skip it and you'll get nowhere. So starting with the fundamentals is the best way to start learning a language, or anything. Now, you may wonder, isn't this obvious? If you're learning in class where a teacher took the time to plan out the curriculum, it is obvious and it's done for you. But if you're learning on your own, it's not. And if you're using an app or watching videos that weren't designed to teach you the right way, you're starting off on the wrong foot. Starting with the foundation is also, in a way, the faster way to learn a language, simply because it saves you the extra time of backtracking to relearn the basics that you missed. So how do you start with the basics? Let's get into the second part. Part 2. How to learn the basics with our free welcome pack. Anytime you attempt to learn something new, your very first step should be to ask, what are the must-know basics? If you're learning in a class with a teacher who planned out the curriculum for you, it's all done for you. But if you're learning alone, as is the case with many language learners, and if you don't know the right way to approach learning, then it won't be as obvious. You might download an app or start watching YouTube videos, and you'll quickly find yourself struggling to understand how the language works, how the conjugations work, how to create your own sentences, and what's right or wrong. You'll always feel like you're missing something. And that's exactly why we created the Fundamentals Welcome Pack, which you can get for free. Keep watching till the end to find out how. The Welcome Pack is a pack of PDF cheat sheets covering the fundamentals: alphabet, beginner grammar, conversational patterns, words, phrases, and culture. You can also start learning with our recommended learning pathway, but be sure to use this Welcome Pack at the same time. And here's how. For the alphabet cheat sheet, you should spend the first 2 or 3 days practicing writing out the alphabet for 10 or 20 minutes a day or so. If your target language uses a non-Roman alphabet, then it may take you longer. For example, with Japanese, most language classes spend up to a week on the hiragana and katakana. Next, you'll find the core words and core phrases cheat sheets. These are all the words and phrases that a beginner must know. Just spend a few minutes a day reading and saying these words out loud. You can also practice writing them out, which will reinforce the alphabet as well. Remember, you don't have to memorize all the words all at once, because you'll see these words again and again later when you're taking our lessons. Then there's the grammar cheat sheet that will teach you simple grammar patterns. Copy out the sample sentences and try to create your own sentences as well. With the conversational phrases cheat sheet, you'll learn some common questions and all the possible ways to answer them in the target language. And these phrases will use the same grammar patterns that you learned earlier. If you want to download our welcome pack, just click the link in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about the power of a teacher and the difference a teacher can make as you work toward achieving your speaking goals. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! Learning a language can be tough because there's just so much to do. There's grammar, reading, speaking, writing, and so on. But there is a way to learn and practice all 7 skills of a language in one shot without overwhelming yourself, and without having to split your attention across tons of books, apps, and programs. How to master the 7 language skills in one shot without overwhelming yourself. How? In this guide, you'll discover 1. The 7 language skills, 2. Why you don't have to learn each skill one at a time, and 3. How to pick up each skill effortlessly if you follow our specially designed learning pathway. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language program, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description. First, so what are the 7 language skills? They are speaking, listening, reading, writing, grammar, vocabulary, and culture. But that's a lot to learn all at once. Plus, resources cover only 1 or 2 skills at a time. And that's why you'll see learners who are good at reading or translating words, but not so good at speaking and listening. So, second, how can you learn and practice all 7 skills without overwhelming yourself? With our learning program, it's just a matter of taking a quick 5 or 10-minute lesson. When you sign up, you'll automatically get a learning pathway of lessons to follow. Just play a lesson and you'll hear a quick practical conversation. Then our teachers slow it down and explain all the words, grammar rules, and cultural nuances inside. So already, you're improving your listening skills and learning vocabulary, grammar, and culture. And if you shadow or repeat what you hear, you start speaking as well. You can also read along with the transcript while you're taking the lesson, which means you're practicing reading. So you've already covered 6 of the 7 skills with one quick lesson, which took you just a few minutes. Once you're done with the lesson, if you want more practice, you can review the conversation one line at a time with the dialogue tool, which helps with listening and reading. Practice speaking the lines from the conversation with the voice recording tool. Review the grammar, cultural notes, and vocabulary with the lesson notes. And you can send the lesson vocabulary to your word bank or flashcards to drill them later. To practice writing, just leave a comment in the comments section, and our teachers will respond to you with feedback. You can write out the lesson dialogue and vocabulary into a personal notebook. And if you're a Premium Plus user, you can practice writing with the help of your teacher. Now, after every few lessons, you'll get multiple choice assessments, which test you on listening, reading, grammar, and vocabulary, and hand-graded assessments, which test you on speaking and writing. And the goal of these assessments is to test you on what you've learned in the last few lessons, so that you can practice the language and so you don't forget what you've learned. So, if you just follow the learning pathway and take the lessons, you can easily learn and practice all 7 language skills. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language program, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description. If you want to successfully learn a language, then it's all about time. The amount of time you spend learning and exposing yourself in the language. And the more you expose yourself to the language, the better the words, phrases, and grammar rules you learned will stick, simply because you get used to them. And for that, you need a ton of lessons and a ton of exposure. The good news? You get just that with our lesson library inside of our learning system. How to learn tons of language and boost your exposure with the lesson library. And in this quick guide, you'll learn all about it, how to level up your language and boost your exposure. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. 1. So, what's the lesson library? The lesson library is our collection of learning pathways, all made by real teachers, from absolute beginner level all the way up to the advanced level. There are hundreds and hundreds of lessons inside, including our 3-minute series, Top 25 Questions You Need to Know, Conversational Phrases video series, and more, giving you all the lessons you need to learn and master the language. And if that sounds like too much, don't worry. 2. Here's how you level up your language with our lesson library. When you join, you instantly get a recommended pathway of lessons, so you have a clear pathway of lessons to follow. Instead of wondering where to start, just look for the recommended pathway on your dashboard and at the top of the lesson library. The Level 1 pathway is for absolute beginners. Level 2 is for beginners, and you can go all the way up to Level 5, the advanced level. So if you follow the recommended pathways, you can take your language from 0 to speaking and understanding advanced conversations. 3. You can customize your learning to boost your exposure. If you want to take on other lessons on top of the recommended ones, just visit the lesson library, scroll through the pathways available for your level, and add the ones you like to your dashboard. 4. You can master speaking, reading, writing, and listening. Just sort the pathways by skill via the side menu inside the lesson library, and find the pathway that's right for you. So, if you want to learn the language the fast, fun, and easy way with our quick audio and video lessons and get full access to hundreds and hundreds of lessons, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. If you're tired of knowing and speaking the language at a basic level and want to express yourself fluently just like native speakers, then you'll need to learn grammar. The problem? It can be tricky to learn. But don't worry. In this guide, you'll discover how to learn and master grammar with the Grammar Bank. 1. Where to get all of the grammar explanations you'll ever need. 2. The best way to learn grammar that's right for your level. And 3. How to expose yourself to real examples until the rules become natural to you with a study tool called the Grammar Bank inside of our learning program. But first, if you don't yet have access to our program, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description. First, what is the Grammar Bank? The Grammar Bank is like a grammar dictionary, except online. It's a database of the must-know grammar rules and explanations that makes it easy to look up specific rules and learn them. Look for it in the top menu of our site. 2. how do you learn grammar with it? The best way to learn grammar is not to just study rules, but to learn in context and hear the grammar used in real life. And that's exactly how you learn with our lessons. You learn a quick conversation and hear how the grammar rules are used within that conversation. 3. What if you come across grammar that you're not familiar with? Or what if you want to review a specific rule without going back to redo a lesson? That's where the Grammar Bank comes in. You can look up grammar rules and get the explanations, examples, and links to lessons where we cover these rules. You can also sort grammar by learning level. So if you're an absolute beginner and want to make sure you know all of the absolute beginner grammar rules, you can do just that with the Grammar Bank. You can also sort the rules by spelling, category, and lesson series. And if you want to get used to the grammar patterns so that you can use them in conversation and become fluent, the best way is to expose yourself to examples as much as possible. Grammar is hard at first, but gets easy once you get used to it with enough exposure. Be sure to access the related lessons inside the Grammar Bank and listen to the native conversations that use the rule as much as possible. So, if you want to become fluent and speak perfectly, you'll need grammar. Take advantage of the Grammar Bank inside of our learning program. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to sign up. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.